Seatbelts, everyone! Please let this be a normal field trip. With a friend? No way!
Cruising on down Main Street, you're relaxed and feeling good. Next thing that you know, you see it. Octopus in the neighborhood, surfing on the Soundwave, swinging through the stars. Take a left at Junior Testing, take your second right past Mars on the Magic School Bus. Alligator nostril, climb on the Magic School Bus. Make a plane turn two.
Okay, good morning. We are going to look at Magic School, MagicSchool.ai. So a little bit different than the Magic School that some of us are used to from back in the day. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to talk a little bit here about the old Magic School. Give me a second. There we go. So the Magic School Bus was created back in 1994, and this was, the top notch back then. Mrs. Frizzle embarked on journeys with her class on this Magic School Bus. These journeys took them on all kinds of exciting adventures. They were field trips. They were learning and discovering different locations, creatures, different time periods. They were learning about all the different wonders of the world and science along the way. So, again, back then, it was very innovative and it was very creative and so forth. Well, now, let's flash forward. We have Magic School. So Magic School AI is now the adventure is going to begin with AI or artificial intelligence, where it will predict and generate lesson plans, rubrics, story starters, communication tools, all kinds of different stuff for you to use in your classroom or the educational setting. I do know we have some people on here that aren't necessarily in the classroom, but work in the educational setting, and that's what Magic School focuses on. So, no more magic adventures with Mrs. Frizzle. Now you are going to take this adventure with Raina. Raina is the personal instructional coach or the AI chatbot that is built into AI. So, using proper prompting, Raina will assist you for all your classroom assistants. There's over 60 different tools that can save you time and energy, whether you're creating lesson plans, worksheets, assessments, communication tools for your parents, goals, objectives, and the list goes on and on and on. So there's a lot in here for us to look at. So, like I said, Magic School Bus was created in 1994, and that was like the new innovative thing. Well, now, AI is the new innovative thing with over 9,000 different tools created in 2023 alone, and Magic School focuses solely on education. So let's look at what Magic School AI can offer. Rubric generators. So, we've been creating rubrics. There's all kinds of tools out there that were web-based. So now this can create rubric generators. Once you get advanced with some of these AI tools, you can also use these rubrics to help you actually grade the assessment. Sentence starters, story starters. So sometimes, it's hard for you to come up with ideas or topics, for students to, start those stories or start those sentences, those creative writing topics. This is going to help you. Classroom newsletters. We're getting to the beginning of the year. Can you believe summer is halfway over? So we got to start thinking about the new year. It will allow you to create classroom newsletters, whether it's in email format, newsletter format. You can always copy it to the web and so forth. So that's a great tool for this time of year. Any academic content. So you can customize things, create different things for your students. Um, Also, you can do things such as things that are focused more towards you or towards your grade level. There's science lesson plan generators, math spiral topics or reviews, SAT prep. So there's all kinds of things in here. There's again 60 different tools. So since this is a 60-minute lesson, we got to start getting through them so we can spend 1 minute on each of them. Just kidding. No, we're not going to get through each of them. We're going to look at some of them. But again, there are all those different topics and there's multiple different tools that will help you along the way. So this is kind of a breakdown, and I did ask, and some of you jumped in a little bit later, but I did ask who had accounts and who didn't. We're going to go through that process and get you guys started. The thing is, when it does create your account from the beginning, it gives you the 2-week trial of this one here, the Magic School Plus. So this middle column. Um, so after the 2-week period, then it drops you down to the free version, which is this first column. This is what I am working on currently is the free version. So I always try to show the free version, and then you have the decision to jump up to the plus if you want to, or of course there is the enterprise if your district wants to go that way. So there are some limitations with the free version. So I do want to talk about those, before we get into there. You do have those 60 some plus tools. So that's available to you. Raina is also available. Raina is the chat bot. So think of Chat GPT. It's now called Raina within school, but it does work off the same platform as Chat GPT. There is a Chrome extension out there, so you can use the Chrome extension. There is output history. So think of your Google Docs and slides and so forth. You have your version history. Your output history is very similar to that, except you are limited. Excuse me, you are limited to 5 with the free version, where with the upper versions you are unlimited and it shows all of that history or those threads that you have created. Another limitation is Raina is not available within the tools to help you differentiate or customize the different outputs that you get from the tools. You still have Raina as the chat bot, and I'll show you the difference between those, but Raina will not work within the tools. Um, and then you don't have as much support. So you just have the community Facebook page and so forth. So there's not as much support as there is with the other versions. Okay, so again, this is in there. I'll show you where to go once we get in there. And you can make your decision for you and or the school. One thing that is available, even though some of the customizations that Raina provides within the tools, there's always translation. So for some of our districts, I do know we use that translation tool a lot, whether it's for AI or through AI, Google Translate, whatever you might be using, the translation feature is available at all times. So best practices when using Magic School. This is not something I created. This is something that you will see when you set up your account. And this is pretty basic through all of your AI tools. It's going to tell you to check for biases and accuracies. AI can be wrong. So remember, AI, it is generating something off of a data set. So it's being trained on stored data. So it can be wrong. And then knowing your limits. So that's this one down here, knowing your limits. This AI tool stops at 2021. So if you're talking about something recent that is happening, such as, the start of the Summer Olympics, things like that, it does not have that knowledge. It does not know that information. So you have to deal more with the topic versus specific dates. For example, I know back in April when I was doing some training, we talked a lot about the solar eclipse. So it understands what a solar eclipse is, but it didn't understand that the solar eclipse was coming through Ohio on April 8th of 2024. But it does understand all the information about that topic. Next is think of it as an 80-20 approach. And this is also what we want to share with our kids, especially if you are a language arts teacher, which I think most of you were science in here. There's a couple EL teachers. Um, but when your students are starting to write a paper, you have them write a rough draft. And then from that rough draft, they're gonna correct it. They're gonna, whether they get feedback from you or a peer, they're going to get some of that information and then they're going to correct it and turn in that final draft. Well, that is what AI is. And that's how Magic School approaches it as well. That 80-20 approach. So think of 80% of it is the rough draft. So Magic School or some AI tool might be helping you create it, but you just don't want to create a lesson plan and then go boom, here it is. You want to customize it for your kids. You know your students. AI doesn't know your students. So you want to create it and have that final draft so it's personal for your class, your students. Um, so again, and then the biggest thing is privacy. Do not share any PII or personal identifiable information on any AI platform. You might say you're a fifth grade math teacher, but don't say you're a fifth grade math teacher at, Worcester City schools. You don't want to be that specific. So you might say, a small city school, or you might say a rural setting, something like that to describe, what is around your school, but you don't want to use names specifically, locations, things like that, with the school name and so forth. So, one of the other things that I had talked about is with proper prompting. Prompting is probably the biggest thing when you are creating or trying to get things generated from AI. Um, the difference with Magic School versus some of our other AI tools is that it kind of sets it up for you and has each of the areas broken down for you to put in the information that you need. So they always say there's three parts to when you're creating a prompt. Okay. There's the who or the role. What role are you playing? So, in this case, fifth grade. If you're, fifth grade teacher, you're teaching fifth grade math, whatever it might be. The task, this is what do you want to happen? And then you can see in this lesson planning tool from Magic School that it says, hey, put the topic, the standard, or the objective right into this box. So that's the task. What do you want to happen? Okay. And then that additional criteria. So what do you want to happen? You want a worksheet? Do you want, a 2-day project? What do you want the outcome to be? And then you can also see that you can set it to align with the Common Core standards and so forth. So the tools that Magic School provides helps you with this prompting, but you're still going to have, in many cases, these three areas: the role, the task, and the output, or the who, the what, and the how. But it's going to be broken down for you and help you create a better response. So let's take a look. And I do know some of you do not have accounts. So we are going to first get through that process of creating the accounts. And then we'll start looking at some of our tools. So, and I can throw this in the chat real quick. Let me copy this. I'll throw this in the chat so everybody has it if you want to click on it. But that will take you to Magic School. I do suggest signing in with Google. If you have your Google account, I would just sign in with that. If you don't have a Google account, and I thought I had a Career Center person, I do not, because they sign in with Microsoft, but it makes it easier for sign in, just to sign in with that Google account. So the first time through, you will create your account, you will create it with Google, and then your second time in, you will just say sign in with Google. So I will give you guys a minute. I'm going to get out of my slideshow while you guys are getting everything set up. It will ask for some information like what grade you teach, subject area, and so forth, so you can get that information filled out. and then you will get into Magic School. And just either unmute or put something in the chat if you're having any type of problems. But give me a thumbs up or something when you are good and you have your account and you're signed in. I'll give you guys another minute. I got most everybody's thumbs up. So hopefully you're getting in. So, and if you did sign in with Google, you should see down in the bottom left-hand corner, you should see your little Google profile. So you know that you are signed in with Google. If I click on the little settings, okay, I'm going to see that I am signed in with my work Google account. If I go to my profile settings, you do not need to worry about uploading your photo here because this is going to show you your Google profile picture. But you can see here my name. If anything needs to be changed, this is going to store my Google account. And then whatever I put in there when you are creating your account. So if you're like, oh, I don't like what I put, or maybe your role is going to change before school started, um, if that's the case, then you can come in here and change it. So this is not set in stone. Just because I put these grade levels doesn't mean that I can't find anything for third grade. This is just telling it and trying to help it. Um, Customize for you based on the information that you put in. And then, of course, I always like to share this because some people do not feel comfortable with AI. So after you work on this, you're like, this isn't the tool for me. This is where you can also delete your account if you want to remove that account. Clicking on Magic School is always going to take you back to your home page or your Magic Tools. So that is the starting page. So before we start looking at all of these, again, we're not going to get through all of them today. I kind of want to work on the navigation, make sure you guys are comfortable with what everything is here, and then we'll look at some of the tools individually. So again, Magic Tool is like your home screen. That is where all of the tools are going to be displayed. So this shows all of our tools, and it's going to sort by default by most popular. So these are the ones that are used the most. You probably do not have this yet. We will get that. That is your favorites. So you can, ones that you find that you're really going to like, um, uh, you can put those on top so you don't have to scroll through them. Okay. So then with that being said, we have our favorites and our all tools, but you can also break this down into areas. So, communication. Again, I said it's the beginning of the school year. You might want to have communication with the families at the beginning of the year. Here are things that are different communication tools. Here are tools that are for student support. So these are the same ones that we were using in all. It just lists all 60 of them, and I can favorite them here, or I can go into certain areas, and then you can see here's my multiple choice assessment, but here are other different ones, my math spiral review, a Jeopardy review, and so forth. But if I go back to my all, my multiple choice is still here, but then I would have to search for it in the all list. Before we start looking at tools and marking our favorites, let's look a little bit more over here on the side. I'm kind of going to skip around. So we're looking at our magic tools now. Our upgrade, that is if you want to change. So that is going to go through the different plans. So that is how you can purchase yourself if you want to go to Plus. Like I said, right now, you will be on Plus for 2 weeks if you just created your account. So if you created your account today, for 2 weeks, you'll have all of these features, including the export to like Google Docs and so forth, which is nice. But you'll see after that 2 week trial, and I think somebody else said that their trial had ended. After that, you go back to the free version. And what I'm showing you today, everything is going to be in that free version. Okay. And these others, we are not going to talk about. These are kind of, this is their community board. So you can see what they're sharing and doing, training that they offer. Sharing the magic. So if you want to share it on social media, to Twitter and so forth, and then the introduction to Magic School. We are just going to talk briefly at the end about Magic Student. But here is an introduction on how it works if you are interested in using that with your students. So next under Magic Tools is Raina. So Raina is our chat bot. So think of Raina as Chat GPT. So she's like a magic little unicorn here. She's a little bit easier than working with our normal chatbot if you're using Chat GPT. There are some extra things that you can do with Raina. So you'll see here you have a copy button. So anything that you've created, you also have the ability to copy. Export with the free version is unavailable, so it will not allow you to export it to Google or Microsoft Office, but it does have a read aloud, and that read aloud is available with the free version. So it is kind of nice if you're working on something that it could be read to them. For example, I think it was this one. Yes, I had this one translated. Okay, so I asked it to translate to Spanish. And then you see that within the Spanish area, I have the read aloud. I can also move up to the English area and have it read aloud there as well. So it's in each of the sections that it could be read to the student. So you might have that read aloud to the student in English and then in Spanish. And then you can always copy it. It copies to your clipboard where you can paste it in a Google Doc or whatever you might be using. Your history is over here on the side. This is different than output history. This is why I wanted to bring this up so you can see what is here. So you do have your history for Raina itself. Then I'm going to skip over here to my output history. So this is my history for all of my tools. So again, different than Raina's history. This is the output history. So you can see I only have 5 output history resources that I can get back to. But if I wanted to see what I did here for this lesson, I can click on the preview and it's going to bring up what it generated. So it doesn't bring up my prompts, it doesn't bring up all the things that I had put in place there, but it does bring up um, what the responses were. Okay. And then if you don't like any of them, of course, you have the option to delete them. Okay. And you can rename them. So this one was lyrics that I created for teachers that are always techie teachers that are always busy in the summer learning new tech tools. So I wanted to make sure I knew this was the song. So I can click on the little pencil next to my output history and I can change it. Then if I wanted to preview it, I can preview and then here are my song lyrics. So let's go back to our tools. So that's kind of the navigation of Magic School. Again, very simple. Once we get into the tools, it looks overwhelming, but again, it's really not. It's sorted by most popular. I can sort alphabetically if I want to, but of course, the most popular ones are going to be on the top. You are also going to see as I'm working today, if we go back to our output history, every time I go through one of these tools, it's going to change my output history. And since I only have those top five, you'll see that these are going to change along the way. So, our favorites. And right now, you don't know a lot of the favorites, but you might be seeing things like, ooh, YouTube video questions. Oh, that sounds great. Oh, multiple choice assessments. I like that one. So, if you come through all of these and you can go, again, through most popular and, start scrolling through some of these, or you can go to different things that you might need. Somebody might need communication versus creating questions. So you might see what communication tools they are. Any that you see that you are interested in, I want you to start at least three of them, but you just click on the little star by them, and you'll see as soon as I click on the star, it generates them up top on my favorites. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes. And here's another thing as you're going through. So if I click on this and I'm like, I wonder if I'll use this lesson plan generator, I can click on it. I can see what I need to input, how to generate it. But instead of trying to create something real quick, I just want to see results. You have an exemplar here. So if I click on this, it's going to show me the outcome of what it's going to look like if I created a lesson plan using this lesson plan tool. So everyone is going to have that, and you can see everyone has the read aloud. So it's got different information here that I can copy, I can have read aloud, and so forth. So if I like that one, I can always go back and then I can start. Okay, so again, I'm going to give you guys a few minutes, have you guys look through and star at least three of them. So I know a lot of elementary, even some middle school teachers, as students are walking in the class, they have information on the board, maybe some bell work that they're supposed to do, but it'll even create teacher jokes that are, clean, funny for the students. And you'll notice that it's kind of pushed down. It's not right at the top because, again, this is sorted most popular. So if this is something you want to do, so you have a classroom joke at the start of every day, I can star it. So then now it populates it at the top. So I have my teacher jokes. So again, this might be something I'm going to use every day. So this is the first thing that I want available. You'll notice that once you have your favorites, you have something up here called change order. So once I click on change order, it allows me to put them in the order that I'm going to use them. So maybe I'm going to use the YouTube questions more than I'm going to use the story starters, maybe even more than the rubric generator. So I can use the up and down arrows to put these in the order that I want. Once I hit save, it's going to rearrange them and put them where I had them in that order. So you can see here I have my YouTube video questions there. So again, and then if there's something that I am not going to use, so I decided, you know what, I'm no longer teaching ELA, so I'm not going to use the sentence starters. I can just unstar it. It will remove it from my favorites, but it does not remove it from the list. So it'll still be in the list wherever it might be. I thought I just had it, but I probably scrolled past it. So it's always listed there. So you can't delete any of these tools. You can just mark them and unmark them for your favorites. Okay, so let's look at something as simple as teacher jokes. Like I showed you earlier, there's going to be sections that you're going to fill in. So in this case, there's only 2 areas, but you always have your exemplar. So if I click on that, it's going to show me, okay, it's going to create a 5th grade teacher joke and make it about grammar. Okay, so that's fine. So I'm going to clear this. I'm going to say, okay, I want 3rd grade, and we're going to say make it about, um, I can't think of anything right at the moment. Clouds. And then I'm going to generate. And then you can see here, it gives you a couple. I have the ability to copy. So if I copy them, I can just open a new Google Doc. And then I can paste them. So if you're creating something, in the morning for your students to see, you can copy and paste it right to like a Google slide if you have that up on your board when they come in. So here it is. So I don't know if that was the best prompt in the world, but again, you can see how it works. Um, and then once I'm done with that, I can go back, I can start using another tool. Now, here is the thing with the limited version or the free version. So now, because I just generated a joke, if I go back into my output history, you can see that here is my 3rd grade. Um, I don't know why it says lesson plan because it was the jokes, but so that's where I can change it. Okay. So remember, AI is not perfect. It doesn't always say everything. So if I want, make sure that I know that these are my jokes and I can save that. Okay. So again, you only get 5. Okay. So here's something that I want to show you with the difference between using your magic tools and then also using Raina. So I have a prompt here. So this is my 8th grade prompt. So I'm an 8th grade math teacher. Here is my Ohio math standard and then what I want created. Okay. So we're going to plug this into our lesson plan tool. So let me grab this prompt here. So I'm creating my lesson plan. So I don't have to copy that I'm an 8th grade math teacher because 1, I'm in Magic School, so it knows it's for education. 2, it's asking me for the grade level, so I'm going to put that grade level in. 3, next it's asking me for the standard. So I can put here, okay. And then anything else that I would want to put. uh, Create complete. Okay, and then I'm going to say generate. Oh, did I spell that right? So you can see here, it's going to create my objective. Let it keep going. So here's my objective. Okay, how I'm going to assess those, what I'm going to cover, my key points, the material that I'm covering, and then how I'm going to conclude or close my lesson. So again, it has the topics, it has the key areas, but it doesn't actually create the worksheet for you. So then you can go into a worksheet generator. So you can do multiple choice assessments, you can do the worksheet generator. So then you would be able to create your assessment here and then have that for your students as well. Okay. So you're not getting it all from one area, you're getting it from multiple tools. So now here's the difference with Raina. Raina is similar to ChatGPT. I would take the entire prompt. I could come into Raina. I'm going to paste my message here. And you can see it's creating something very similar. Okay. Except the difference is now, instead of having to go to multiple tools, it's giving me the questions for my worksheet. Again, it's not generating the worksheet for me, but it's at least giving me those questions. So if I want to have it. And then, of course, here is my history for Raina, because Raina is different. So I have the ability to copy from here. I have the ability to read aloud. And then you'll see I have some different things here, but if I try to go to questions to create my questions, you'll notice that they're all grayed out and they say I have to upgrade. So same with summarizing and so forth, but what it will do is it will always let me translate. So if I want to translate this to a different language, if I wanted to do Spanish, I can translate it to Spanish and it will translate. I wouldn't translate a lesson plan for myself into Spanish because I'll be teaching it. So, and I don't speak Spanish. But if there's other things, so for example, and it's probably out of my output history already, but you might be able to see it. Okay, so I created one for students' strengths and growths for report card comments. This was for report card comments. So what it did, and I'll show you the tool. That is my report card comments here. It asks strengths and weaknesses or strengths or areas of growth for the student, what grade level, and so forth. So it created something that was very, I'll say AI generated. So then what I did was I came into here and I pasted that. Can you simplify the statement? So this was the original statement that the tool provided. And then I came at here and asked for it to simplify the statement. So then you can see it did. It simplified it some, still using some big words that are seem AI generated. If I'm creating this for a fifth grade student, I'm probably not going to use praiseworthy and so forth, but it did simplify it compared to commendable. So you can use the both tool well, I guess you can use the tools and bring things into Raina to help you because when you are using the tools and something is generated for you, um, it does not it does not allow you to use Raina within here. Okay, so let me do that one again. Just leave it at that and see what it generates. You'll see that if I come down to the bottom, it won't allow me to ask Raina to do anything in here. So I would have to take this, copy it, and put it into Raina and then ask my question. That's a issue with the free version is that you can't ask Raina and continue within here, within the tool, with multiple questions or adding on to it. You will see the same items are here. So you would be able to, if you had the upper version, you can customize, you can summarize, create questions right from here, but you still can translate. So no matter where you're at, you can always translate whatever you have generated. So another thing that is nice, so here is a paper. So this is a student's written paper, happened to be my daughter's. So I put it into a quick Google Doc so I can copy it. So this is what she wrote. So maybe you have students writing a paragraph or two. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this. So one of the tools is proofreading. So it will proofread paperwork for you. Or written responses, whatever it might be, whether it's just paragraphs or stories or essays. So I can bring it in here, and you can see it's not asking much. It's just saying, hey, paste the text you want me to proofread. So it's not asking a grade level. It's not asking for criteria or anything like that. It's just going to proofread it for grammar, spelling, punctuation, etc. Okay, so I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to generate that. And then you can see here, it'll tell you a few things that it has corrected. Okay. So notice that it provides the proof read version. Okay. So I think in her original, I feel like she did not put quotes at the, yeah. So she forgot to put like quotes around the book title. So you can see in here, it provided that. So it doesn't show you and or the students what it is correcting, but it does correct it for you. So just be aware of that when you're trying to use this tool. If you're having it proofread things for you, it's not going to jump out at you um, to see what is actually done. Okay. So here's another tool. So now, and I don't really have grading criteria for this, but that's the proofread tool. You also have one that based on criteria that you have, so maybe you have a rubric or you've generated a rubric, you can have it give feedback based on the student's work. So you can attach something. So if you want to attach a Word document or PDF, or you can paste it. So I can paste here. But then I would have to provide my categories or how I'm grading this. So, if it's some type of persuasive essay and you have a rubric for the students, you can copy and paste that rubric information here, and it's going to provide feedback on the students' work here. So again, a way to help you grade your papers. So it's not doing everything for you. Of course, you still have to look things over, make sure that it is correct. So you're basically proofreading their proofreading, but a majority of the time it is correct. And it's giving you that feedback for your students that you can provide to them in a Google document. So here's what we are going to do. I showed you several different ones, and everybody has, um, you know, a lot of different subject areas that you're teaching, grade levels. I have all the way from elementary on here, all the way up to high school. So I am going to give you guys a few minutes, probably let's take like 4 or 5 minutes. I want you to find one, and it doesn't have to be one of the most popular at the top, but I want you to find one that you might use in your classroom. Try something real quick to see if it generates what you want. And then we're going to take like the last 2 or 3 minutes and we're going to share real quick why you think this tool will work great for your class and kind of give an idea. And this might help somebody else because they might overlook a tool that you might have seen. So I'm going to pause the recording. I'm going to pause talking for a minute. So, does anybody have a tool or an idea that they want to share how they might use Magic School to help them in the classroom?
Hi, Shelley. I discovered that I have a digital textbook that has vocab lists at the end of each chapter. And using the Raina tool, I went into Raina and had asked if she could take an image that I took a screenshot of the digital textbook vocab list. I saved it on my computer as a PNG, and then I was able to copy and paste that, insert that image file into Raina and asked her to convert the picture of the vocab list into a vocab, if she could generate the picture into an actual vocab list. And so I did get the output of an actual vocab list that I could then copy and paste directly into any kind of a doc, so that I won't have
Awesome.
to retype what I see. Like, when you get a new curriculum for my class, we have a lot of vocabulary lists. And every time that happens, I always find myself having to retype vocab lists from textbooks.
Right.
So that
Right.
was pretty cool to be able to take a picture and have Raina essentially be able to convert that into a vocab list that I'll be able to just copy and paste right into
Yeah, that's
a Google Doc
awesome.
or Word. Yeah,
Yeah. And right now, I don't know if you just created your account today. Right now, you can probably still use the export feature, which just basically does the copy and paste for you into
oh,
a Google Doc. But once you lose your 2-week trial, you'll still be able to copy and paste without a problem.
awesome.
But this is where she was talking about. So she came here to upload her image that she took of her digital textbook, and then asked her question here. So instead of using the tool itself, she was using Raina to generate that for her. Thank you. Anybody else want to share?
Right along those same lines, I use the vocab list generator where I just put in a topic of cells and it gave me lots of vocab related to cells that I could plug in to
Oh,
like a
awesome.
flashcard game or anything like that.
Awesome. And you do have the ability to search. So if I'm like, I'm not sure where the vocab is, so I can just start typing in vocab. Here is my vocab list generator. Because I don't know, based on the most popular, I don't know where that is in the list. Or I could switch it to, A to Z, but I can also use that search up at the top to find, that tool that maybe somebody else suggests like this. Good. Anybody else?
I did the YouTube question generator. I just took copied the URL for YouTube video that I use frequently, and I just put it in and asked it to generate 3 multiple choice questions real quick. And that worked really seamlessly. And I just
Yeah.
copied and pasted it into a Google Doc.
Yeah. And very simple. You can see this one. And, I had started earlier, but all you're doing is you're pasting the YouTube video in there. So if it's something that you're already using, it'll create the questions for you. So awesome. Anything else anybody wants to share? And again, we hardly touched on any of the tools, and we went through a lot of the tools super quick. So, some things like the student feedback, if you have a rubric yourself, you might want, to grab that, put it in there to see how it works for you. Um, there's so many, we can't get through them all. What I do want to mention in the last couple minutes of class, they did create something called Magic Student. So this is a way that your students can use Magic School. Um, I have not created a full official classroom with it yet because it came out, I want to say maybe February, March, January, February, somewhere. It was during the school year, but towards the end of the school year. I don't know all of the restrictions for it. There is 40 tools that students can use. So if you look at the top, Magic School, of course, is for the teacher. Magic Student is for the students. So these are all the different tools. So you can look at the tools that the students could use and you can push out to the students. So the students don't just sign into Magic School and then come here to be able to use them. You actually push them out to your students by creating a classroom. So you can come here and say, okay, let's see what create a skit is, or the song generator, or the rap battle, or you know, there's the proofreader for them as well. So there's all these different tools, and you're like, okay, well, I do want them to be able to use the proofreader. I do want them to be able to, use the summarize it or whatever it might be. You would come to launch it and you can star just like you can for yours. But when you come to launch it, you will launch a new room and then you would pick the apps that you would want the students to use. So they don't see all of them, they only use the ones that you would want them to use. And then you would push it out to them and it generates a QR code and or a link. So if you're using Google Classroom, you can push that link out into your Google Classroom. If they have the cameras on their Chromebooks, they can scan the QR code or there is a code. So think of it how they kind of describe it is the Kahoot style. So, they're logging in with that code and so forth. They're typing in the name. So that's the easiest, and then students of all ages can use this because they're not officially creating an account and signing into Magic School, and it's being monitored and or generated by you what's appropriate for the age level in your classroom. So that is another option. So again, that is if you're in Tools, you would switch over to Magic Students to see what apps you would like. And then when you're ready to launch them to your students, you would say launch to students, and then you would generate your classroom and push the apps out that way. Okay. So again, that is a newer feature, but it is available if you wanted to try it with your students. So again, if you're just learning AI and just starting to use it, you might want to get familiar with it with yourself and then start it with your students. So, with 1 minute left, does anybody have any questions? Well, I hope everybody learned something and I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. I think in 2 weeks we have a what's new in Google and some Google tips. And then we have one more the first week in August for creating your own AI toolbox. So it'll be a little bit of a bunch of different AI tools. So enjoy your summer and hopefully I will see you soon.